What if I told you that God had a problem, a fundamental, existential problem that exists at the very heart of reality itself? Here it is. If you're everything, you're also nothing. At least, nothing you can experience. That's the paradox at the heart of non-duality. Try to see your own face right now. Not the memory or the idea of your face, but your actual face at this moment from where you are. You can't, right? You can see everything else. The room around you, your hands, the world in front of you. But the one thing you can never directly see is what represents you to the world. Now scale that up, infinitely. That's God's dilemma. Think about it. If you're infinite, truly infinite, you have no edges, no boundaries, no other to compare yourself to. You can't look at yourself in a mirror because you are the mirror. You can't step back and admire your creation because there's nowhere to step back to. You're so completely, utterly everything that you've become experientially nothing. When you're the entire ocean and there's no shore, no island, no boat, just endless water in all directions forever, how do you experience being the ocean? How do you know what you are when there's nothing you're not? The infinite had to do something radical, something that sounds almost impossible. It had to fragment itself, separate itself into billions of pieces, each one believing it was separate, so that it could finally experience what it was. The ancient Hermetic texts call this the divine paradox. The all is everything, yet creates from itself. The Upanishads describe Brahman, the infinite consciousness, projecting itself into countless forms to experience what it is. Sufi mystics tell us that God said, "I was a hidden treasure and I loved to be known, so I created the creation that I might be known." Neil Donald Walsh, in Conversations with God, puts it like this: God wanted to know itself experientially, not just conceptually. To go from knowing I am magnificent to actually feeling magnificence, you need contrast. You need something that isn't magnificent to compare it to. This is the separation process, the cosmic mechanism by which the infinite becomes finite, so it can finally know itself. And once you understand the 7 steps of separation, you'll never look at your life, your struggles, or your existence the same way again. Here's the technical problem. An infinite field cannot compare itself to anything. Comparison needs edges. You need a this and a that. You need something to measure against. But edges don't exist in totality. There's nothing outside the all to use as a reference point. There is no this infinite and that infinite. So the first move is focus. The whole narrows into a single point of view. Many spiritual traditions have tried to describe this same moment, the narrowing of the infinite into experience. The Kabbalists said divine light poured into vessels too fragile to hold it, scattering sparks of awareness throughout creation. The Vedas called it Brahman veiling itself through Maya, the one appearing as many so it could see itself. In Gnostic myth, Sophia descends from the fullness of unity into matter, driven by the longing to know her own reflection. And in the Hermetic texts, the one mind divides into the masculine and feminine forces that generate all worlds. Different words, same story, the whole focusing into parts. Even the Hebrew story of Eden echoes it. Adam and Eve as the 2 poles of consciousness, and the fruit as identification with duality. Not a moral fall, but a phase shift, awareness entering its own dream. Not because it has to, because it chooses to. The infinite focuses down, and suddenly boundaries appear. A body outline, a name, a life with rooms, seasons, and Tuesdays. With a boundary, difference becomes possible. Now you can feel this against that, weight against air, silence after sound, hot coffee against your cold hands on a winter morning. You can know you're everything intellectually, but until you have a specific vantage point, a here as opposed to there, you can't actually feel it. So the infinite becomes a point, and that point is you. But narrowing alone isn't enough, because even as a focused point, if you could still perceive everything at once, you'd be right back at the original problem. There would be no contrast, no sequence, no meaning. So the second move is filtering. Awareness takes on a nervous system with limits. You can't notice everything at once. Attention has to choose. Sounds overlap. Some rise forward, others fade out. Your skin feels pressure here but not there. What gets through the filter becomes your reality. And because it's partial, it has texture, it has edges, it has the roughness that makes experience feel real. Your specific filter, your senses, your brain, your story, determines what kind of universe you experience. A dog lives in a world of smell. A bat navigates by sound. You live in a world built from sight, language, and memory. None of these are the true reality. They're distinct cross-sections of the same field. And that's not a bug, it's the design. Because if everything were visible at once, your world would dissolve into static. Filter is the architecture of awareness. For 10 seconds, soften your gaze and widen your hearing. Notice how your world changes the moment the filter opens. Even with a body and a filter, if you remembered being everything, none of this would work. Forgetting is the price of a real perspective. If you woke up every morning fully aware that you're the infinite playing dress-up, choices here would carry no weight. Suffering wouldn't sting, love wouldn't matter. There would be no stakes, no consequences, no reason to care. It'd be like playing a video game with God mode turned on. Sure, you can't die, but without tension and risk, there's no story, no discovery, no reason to actually care. That's why many ancient stories include a veil. The Greeks called it Lethe, the river of forgetfulness the soul must cross before rebirth. The Hindus named it Maya, the divine illusion that makes the play of life feel solid and real. In Kabbalah, the soul forgets its source when it enters the body, descending through layers of density. Even Plato described it as a kind of blindness, souls staring at shadows on a cave wall, believing they're seeing the whole truth. So you forget. You wake up as a particular I with a history. You inherit expectations, habits, definitions of what things mean. You believe you are separate. You believe this body is all you are. You believe you can fail, lose, die. And because you believe it, it becomes true for you. Might not be true in the absolute sense, but true in the relative sense, in the dimension where experience unfolds. This is what spiritual teachers mean when they say the veil is necessary. It's not a punishment. It's the mechanism that makes this cosmic dance possible. Here's the thing about being infinite and eternal. Everything happens at once. There is no before, no after, no sequence. Just eternal now, a field of all possible stories, every path, every choice, every variation coexisting in potential. From the perspective of the infinite, nothing is linear. It's more like a cosmic field where all outcomes already exist as probabilities waiting to be observed. Imagine standing in front of an infinite library. Some pages smell of rain you never walked in. Some are warm with a sun you never chose. Every book is a different version of reality. Somewhere you turned left, somewhere you turned right, somewhere you never left home at all. All of them are real, but none of them are being read yet. Consciousness is the reader. Time is the act of reading, page by page. The moment awareness focuses, one version becomes now, and the rest remain possibilities. The unfolding of choice, consequence, and learning is what gives the infinite something it can't have without sequence. Experience. So the fourth move is time. Sequence turns simultaneous being into before and after. Delay allows learning. It stretches cause away from effect so meaning can appear between them. You can make a choice, see what happens, and adjust. You touch the hot stove. It burns. Next time you don't touch it. That's growth. That only works because time creates space between cause and effect. This is also what creates story. A random collection of moments becomes a narrative arc. Your life moves through a quiet continuity, each moment shaping the next. forming a story that only makes sense when you look back at its path. That unfolding is what gives meaning to experience, and it's valuable precisely because it unfolds in time. So now you are focused, filtered, forgetful, and moving through time. But how do you know which way to go? How do you navigate all the possibilities that open before you? The fifth move is valuation. The body tags every experience with a signal that pulls you toward or away. Some things feel open, warm, and alive. Others feel tight, heavy, or dull. These sensations are primitive at first, pleasure and pain, comfort and discomfort, but they're enough to start mapping the terrain. They form an inner compass. Not the thoughts in your head telling you what you should do, not the rules you were handed by family or culture, but the quiet physical feedback of your own system, the shift in breath, the weight in the chest, the warmth in the belly, when you move closer to truth or drift away from it. Mystics called it intuition. Saints called it grace. Modern science calls it somatic intelligence, the body's built-in guidance loop. Whatever the language, it's the same thing, the infinite whispering through feeling. But most of us learn to tune it out. We were trained to trade inner signals for external approval. Be polite, suck it up, push through. So we ignore the messages of the soul and body, the knot in the stomach, the tight throat, the subtle pull that rises before the mind argues it away. Yet those signals are not inconveniences to be silenced. They're the field itself trying to steer you back into coherence. They're the quiet reminder that consciousness isn't just observing life, it's participating in it. Sensation is a form of feedback from the infinite, helping you remember which direction brings you home. Now the journey starts to reveal its symmetry. You're not navigating this alone. From the moment the infinite segmented itself into countless points of awareness, reflection became inevitable. It is what naturally follows when there are many such points. They encounter one another and, through those encounters, awareness perceives itself indirectly. Each point can only see the others, never the whole, and through that seeing, consciousness learns what it is. Every encounter is the infinite meeting itself from another angle. That's why the world behaves like a mirror. Other people, places, and events aren't random. They're the outer expression of how awareness has been organizing itself inside you. You think you're seeing them, but you're also seeing the meanings you've assigned, what you expect, what you fear, what you believe to be possible. When you hold a belief, the field arranges itself around it. Believe that people can't be trusted, and you'll meet faces that confirm it. Not because life is cruel, but because awareness is showing you its own reflection. Believe you're unworthy, and you'll find yourself in stories that echo that frequency. Work that undervalues you, love that hesitates to stay. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the unrecognized parts of ourselves projected outward until we learn to see them. But mystics said the same thing in their own language. The Hermetic texts began with the axiom, all is mind, that every outer experience is consciousness made visible. The Buddhist teachings describe dependent origination, everything arising together through relationship. Different words, same mechanics. An inner pattern creates an outer echo, inviting you to see yourself more clearly. Separation was never absolute. The world isn't outside of you, it's the wider field of you. Every pattern that repeats, every encounter that stirs emotion, is feedback from that field, a signal inviting awareness. And here's the quiet turning point. When you can recognize these echoes without blame, something begins to soften. The pattern that sustained them starts to dissolve. You begin to see not what's wrong with you, but what's been asking to be seen through you. Because in the moment of true seeing, the mirror stops repeating and starts responding. Now we reach the final move, the return without disappearance. A lot of seekers misunderstand this stage. They think enlightenment means erasing the boundary, dissolving back into the infinite once and for all. But that isn't the point of incarnation. Not yet. Not while awareness is still exploring itself through a body and a name. The goal isn't escape, it's integration. You keep the boundary because it's the frame of experience. You just stop mistaking it for the whole picture. The self stays, but it becomes transparent, an instrument instead of a cage. Integration begins when you loosen your grip on the stories that keep you small, the inherited definitions, the labels that were never really yours. You start to act from a quieter place of knowing, testing how the field responds when identity changes first and action follows naturally. Because you were never outside it. You're a focused point within the infinite mind, shaping reality from the inside out. When inner definition changes, reflection follows. Integration looks like this. You keep the body, the personality, the unique flavor of consciousness that makes you you. But you stop believing the illusion that you're separate from the source. You remember that you're also the ocean itself, momentarily playing as a wave. From that remembrance, you can finally live freely inside the dream. You can care deeply without clinging, act with power without control, love without need. Duality doesn't end when you wake up inside the dream. It stays, but it stops owning you. It becomes the music you can finally dance to. Light still casts shadow, endings still follow beginnings, but you no longer mistake them for enemies. You see them as partners in the same rhythm of becoming. Before we close, there's something essential to talk about. It's a trap that catches many sincere seekers, and it can undo everything the separation process is meant to reveal. It's the confusion between being of God and being God. At a certain point on the path, the boundary dissolves. You feel unity. You feel yourself as everything, and everything as you. It's natural, it's beautiful, it's a glimpse of truth. But here's where things often go sideways. The ego gets involved. It reclaims the experience and says, I see. I am the creator. I am the source. Nothing exists outside of me. That's the subtle arrogance of the spiritual ego, taking a genuine glimpse of the infinite and turning it into an identity. The ego using mystical insight to inflate itself. The irony is striking. Many who criticize material scientists for clinging to the relative end up doing the same thing with the absolute, turning it into another fixed belief. That's not transcendence. That's just spiritual fundamentalism dressed up as enlightenment. True non-duality isn't about declaring godhood or dismissing individuality as something to be overcome. It's about understanding the relationship between the relative and the absolute, between the wave and the ocean. Duality isn't the enemy, it's sacred. It's what makes creation possible. The goal of consciousness was never to annihilate polarity, but to see it clearly, to recognize the unity that contains it. When you try to erase the relative world, you're denying half of existence. You may deny its mastery over you, but not its reality. This is why the Hermetic texts speak of the divine paradox. From the highest perspective, all is mind, one consciousness expressing through many forms. But within the relative realm, those forms are real enough to matter. Fire still burns, suffering still hurts. The physical, emotional, and moral consequences of action are not illusions. They are the mechanics of learning. You are not the God. You are of God, a localized expression through which the infinite experiences itself, a facet of the whole, not the whole itself. When you forget that distinction, humility disappears. You start bypassing your pain and mistaking avoidance for enlightenment. You stop playing the game with integrity. And when that happens, life will remind you, not out of punishment, but precision. The universe corrects imbalance, always. Remember, you're here to embody the truth, not to own it, to participate in divinity, not to possess it. That distinction is what keeps the infinite honest through you. So why go through separation only to remember and integrate? Because experience is the point. The infinite can know itself, but it cannot feel itself without edges. Feeling needs contrast. Joy learns its shape beside sorrow. Courage discovers itself in the presence of fear. Love deepens when loss is possible. It can't feel the relief of telling the truth when a lie would be easier. It can't live the pause before reacting, the small, holy moment where an old pattern loosens and a new choice appears. You can, because you're here, in a body, inside time, moving through a world built of possibilities and consequences. Your life isn't a mistake to correct or a test to escape. It's an instrument. Every moment adds a note the infinite can't sound without you. Each time you choose in the face of forgetting, love over habit, truth over convenience, growth over safety, you return something precious to the field, lived understanding. You're teaching the source what it feels like to be finite and brave, tender and breakable, steady and imperfectly human. And when the boundary one day relaxes and you return to the wider field, you don't vanish. You bring your music with you. You lay it down as a record of what this path revealed. Here is what it was like to be me. Here is what I learned about you by not remembering you for a while. The whole deepens its awareness through what each part discovers. In conversations that ask for honesty, in love that asks for presence even when the ending is unclear. You're not broken for feeling separate. You're not failing because you forgot. You're doing the one thing only a finite life can do, turning knowing into knowing through living. Let the rhythm of duality stay, but let it stop owning you. Let me know what you think, and please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching.